I'm pleased to welcome back Holly, our AALL VIP. We know about Holly's distinguished career of service to our profession, but can you guess the one falsehood among the following four things about Holly? A, both of her parents were librarians. B, she once worked out with Nicole Kidman. C, she has visited 48 of the 50 states. D, she has double-jointed knees. Holly is about to answer this question. She now takes the podium. Please extend to Holly a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. That is probably the warmest chapter visit welcome I have ever received. So thank you very, very much. Before I launch into my remarks, anybody want to venture their guess about what A, B, C, or D was false?
C or D.
C. I only about 26 states. But all the others are true, and I'm happy at the reception to talk about A, B, or D, anybody who would like to. So B and D are a little more interesting. A lot of people know about A, that both my parents were librarians, but anyway, happy to talk about that. We just thought we'd have a little fun with the introduction. So I really am honored to be the VIP for this chapter, for my chapter. This is, I guess, my second to last chapter visit as a member of the board. So I'm kind of winding down, so I'm trying not to get too nostalgic about things. But I was trying to think about, what AALL, what NOCALL means to me. And if I think about AALL as being my professional home, then I kind of made the extrapolation from there that NOCALL is like my easy chair, right? There's the support, there's the security, and there's the comfort. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go through, and we'll kind of loop back to that again. So, so many of AALL leaders and people have started out volunteering at the chapter level. So I really want to thank NOCALL for all the opportunities that it's given me and many others of our members who have moved on to do things at the AALL national level. So with that, I would like to acknowledge some folks in the room that I know. Some of them are here to acknowledge some of our leaders. So we have someone who I will be joining in the past president ranks soon. AALL past president Mark Estes is here with us. We have the past, and we have the present, which is that Jean Willis will be joining as AALL treasurer. Very exciting. And I know she's not here, but I will kind of reference the future, or at least that's how I see it. The AALL Leadership Institute will be taking place in the first week of April, and Judy Heyer from Furl LeBron will be attending as one of the Leadership Academy Fellows. So, and I also really want to thank Michael Ginsborg for putting all of this together, and we had a great dinner last night as well to celebrate all the great things about NOCALL. So thank you again to Michael for bringing me here and putting everything together so well. So the theme of the conference, right, new challenges, new opportunities, and I think the one word that seems to keep coming back from all the different speakers, regardless of where they come from, what kind of backgrounds they have, is change. And I don't think that's new to any of us, but it's definitely still out there. One of my favorite quotes was from a 2012 annual meeting lunch speaker, Karen McCullough, who said, "Change is hard. You go first." I think the similar reaction in the room. Everybody's like, "Yep, yeah, you go first." But I think what we're hearing from people, from our keynote speaker and others, change is hard. We can help everybody else, and we can, go first and help everyone else move forward too. So that whole concept of, being at the table, or not even being at the table, but calling the meeting, right? So I think we're all really kind of looking to that as something to do. So I'm just going to jump right in and start talking about the rebranding initiative, because I know that is kind of the biggest topic within AALL, and I will say that I was most heartened by the fact that 60% of our members voted in the name change election, or the name change vote. We don't usually have that high of a turnout, and so what heartens me so much is that everybody really got passionate about this and started talking about it. And I think we've always kind of talked about it, but it was in a very different way, and I think it's been really helpful. I think at the board level, we want to continue the conversation. We want to build on what has happened and what's come out, the themes, the challenges, the opportunities, and continue to see what we can do, because I think we know that we add value, but we need to be able to give ourselves and others more tools to show how we add value within our organizations. And it's a constant challenge. It's been going on for a long time. We've been talking about it for years. It's what started the ROI study that we did. It was behind that, how to show our value. So when we were really starting into the endeavor of the rebranding initiative, the question that we kind of kept in our minds was, how do we better communicate who we are, what we do, and why it matters? I'm going to come back to that again and circle back to that in a little bit. One of the key things that the executive board heard from members was that they wanted a larger role in the process and more transparency. And we heard you, we understand, and we're trying to work on that and taking action to do so going forward. So now that we're sticking with the name, whether you call it AALL or AALL, I think the jury's still out on that one. But we are moving on to the tagline development, which I think is really going to be an exciting phase of the project. And as part of that, we asked members to submit and share their insights and their thoughts in the survey. And I know it's already closed, but I hope that many of you filled out the survey and shared your thoughts about what it is that we do, how we add value. And so we're going to take all of that information and work with that to come up with suggestions for the tagline. So your input is going to help us develop ideas for that so that we can kind of move ourselves forward. Our current tagline, law library since 1906, it references our future, but I think what we really want to do with the new tagline is move towards, or reference our past, but really want to move towards our future. So we will take all the data from that, start coming up with some ideas for taglines, and move forward from there. So we also want to hear your stories, and I think this is really, really important about how you demonstrate your value. And one of the things that we're working on as an offshoot of the ROI study is what we're calling kind of an ROI white paper. And we're going to try to get people to write and give really concrete examples, whether it's through reports that they've given within their organization, or slides, or presentations, real concrete examples of how they've proved their value or shown their value within their organizations. And so that is a project that is in the process, and we're hoping to get that done later in the year and be able to share that with everyone. And we also are looking at some outside people to write things in there to talk about their experiences as well. So, I encourage you to share your stories about how you add your value. We have an AALL branding initiative discussion in the My Community section, and we're asking people to put the word story at the beginning of the subject line and then start sharing those. That's something that we worked a little bit with Mission Minded with the consultant. We talked through some of that, and that was something that helped us work on the name and other parts of the rebranding initiative. But there's so many stories. We all have a story. It would be great if we could get as many of those as we can from you. And I know that NOCALL members are proving their value every single day. And so I encourage you to share those stories. The final stage of the branding initiative is really going to be the visual identity, right? So the look of the logo, the colors, the font, all of that kind of stuff. So that'll be kind of the cap to the whole thing. And then that will obviously entail looking at the website, at email, templates, letterhead, all of those kinds of things. So that will be kind of the end of the process. And we will also be looking at messaging, which is where the stories come in, because we really need to hear those so we can kind of come up with messages that members can use to not only talk to other people about our association, but talk about what you do within your organizations. So again, we're going back to who we are, what we do, and why it matters. So at this point, I want to talk about a couple of things that are coming up within AALL. Of course, we have the annual meeting, which is going to be held in Chicago. It was last in Chicago in 1992. And so it will be July 16th, 19th. And the theme is Make It New, Create the Future. My little pin. And it will be all in one location. So I remember when I started talking about, it was going to be in Chicago, people would start looking at me with these eyes, and I would say, it's not in McCormick. Don't worry. We are all in one hotel, so the exhibits, meetings, everything is going to be in one location. So I encourage you to start planning for that and look at grants. NOCALL has grants, AALL has grants, SIS have grants. There's tons of opportunities to get funding if that is a challenge, and I know that is for a lot of people. So I encourage you to take a look at that and see if you can join us in July. The keynote was just announced, I think it was a couple of days ago. So it will be Will Evans, the Chief Design Officer at Praxis Flow, and I'm just going to read from my notes. He's going to talk about abductive ideation and empirical validation, both changing how we value creation, how value creation happens. I don't even know what abductive ideation is, so I'm going to show up because I want to learn all about that. But I know it has to do with innovation and change, which is something that we're all dealing with. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting. Another thing that they're trying this year is they're going to have innovation labs on Tuesday in the afternoon, so kind of at the very end of the conference and some of the last time slots. There's a couple of innovation lab programs. One of them will be our own Bob Baring, who will be doing a conversation with Judge Richard Posner about his new book, Divergent Paths, I can't read my notes. Divergent Paths, the Academy and the Judiciary. So I would never miss any opportunity to see Bob Baring and to see him in conversation with Judge Posner. Should be very, very interesting. The other program, the other innovation lab that sounds really interesting and actually plays into the program we're going to have next in this room that I'm moderating, is design thinking for libraries. So again, it's that change, looking at things differently, trying to bring all of this information that we are dealing with every day out to people in a new way and a more meaningful way. So again, I encourage you to look into grants if you need them, but I would love to see everybody in Chicago. Another thing I want to remind everyone of is that if you're a member of AALL, excuse me, that the monthly webinars are now free to members. So there's a couple coming up. Yes. And that is a great, it's really a great thing. And so we were able to do that last year, shifting around some things, not doing, right, we did like a start, stop, continue thing where we thought, we don't need to do this anymore. We shifted funds to things that really benefited our members and things that people were asking for. So at the end of March, there's one on strategies for online student engagement and learning, which I'm sure will be very interesting to a lot of folks in this room. And then at the end of April, there is Organize Better with mobile apps. So I think both of those sound really interesting, and keep looking for those. It's easy, just go on AllNet and you can sign up to attend, and I think those will be really great. So that is all I have to say about kind of AALL upcoming things. Obviously, if anyone has any questions at the end, I'm happy to answer them. If there are things I haven't talked about, I don't have a huge amount of time, so I want to make sure I'm cognizant of that. So this is just kind of the tip of the AALL iceberg, so to speak. One thing I want to do, since this is my chapter, I feel like I can give you a homework assignment. I wouldn't necessarily do that to another chapter, but sorry. You're my chapter, you're my people, so help me out. So if you will, take some time, in the next couple of weeks, whenever you have a moment, sit in your comfy NOCALL easy chair, whether literally or figuratively, and think about how you have had success in communicating your value within your organization. And then share your story with AALL. Because your stories are who we are, what we do, and why it matters. Thank you very much. Questions or comments or related around AALL or any other questions that people have? Yes, Jonathan.
So with the whole name change, a lot of people that I talked to just didn't like ALI. There was no other option. I mean, we're doing all this rebranding for a tagline and all that, but I'm wondering, there was no other option for ALI, and I didn't like that. know how everybody else felt, but I'm not opposed to a name change. I think many people felt like that, but just didn't like ALI. So I don't know if you can speak to that.
I can. I think, we had a group, the board ultimately decided to put that name forward, but prior to that, we had meetings with not only the board, but other leaders from the different three large SIS types, and really had a lot of discussion around it. And we felt very strongly that that was a great name to put forward. We were behind it, and we wanted to put that forward to the membership. So I think once we started to see the discussion, we realized that it didn't speak to everyone. And there were some people I know who even, said, I don't think it's perfect, but I'll vote for it because it moves us forward. So there was a spectrum, right, of comments that came back. But our ultimate decision was that we were going to vote on that name. So we kind of stuck with that and went forward because that was the bylaws change that we had proposed in the vote. So I think at this point, I think we can do a lot without changing the name. I think, maybe that wasn't the perfect name. I don't know. I liked it and I believed in it, and so did the rest of the board. But I think that, there's so much more to who we are. And again, with a new tagline, with the kind of messaging and the stories, I think there's a lot more that we can tell about our association to other people. Will it come up in the future? Maybe. There may be another, may kind of come up and people may want to propose another name change at some point. And now, of course, we have a lot of information about, how people feel, what some of the ideas were. So, that may be something that happens down the road. But I think what we're doing now is really important. What we've done to get to the name change isn't lost because it's all part of the process of kind of coming up with this information about our message and rebranding this to make sure that we're kind of, relevant to our stakeholders and that they understand what we do. So, any other comments or questions? I will say that the board took a lot out of the process. I think we learned, we've had discussions about it, and I think we will continue to, because one of the things, as all of us do, we try things sometimes in our organizations, and sometimes they're very successful, sometimes they fall flat, sometimes they're in between. But I think the most successful people, and I know all of us do this, you look at what you've done, you look at the process, you look at what you could have done differently, what you could have changed. And so I want everyone to know that, we've really looked at that, and we're trying to make sure that we understand that going forward. And I think we're trying to incorporate some of the increased communication and including people. So we definitely hear you. We're all in this together, and I really, I really look forward to some of the things we're going to be able to do with the end of the process. So, yes, Chuck.
I'm sorry. I Is AALL plan to, or have, or are we going to make a stand or issue a statement regarding encryption and privacy after concerns that started on with Apple and the DOJ, and I know that ALA sort of came out very strong, said as a base for strong encryption, and I think it'd be a good idea for AALL to be a leader in this area.
The question was around encryption and the whole Apple situation, and that ALA has put out a statement about how they feel about that. I don't know of anything. I have not heard anything, but I will definitely, Emily Feltrin, who's the AALL Government Relations Director, would be the one to definitely reach out to. So after this meeting, I'll reach out to her and copy in Kate and Keith and kind of see where that stands. Because it's definitely something that we care about, and I know a lot of times, they kind of take careful consideration before doing something like that. But I'm sure that Emily's aware of the ALA statement, and I will definitely follow up and I will let you know.
All right, thanks a lot.
Come on, that's it. You guys know too much about me. I want to keep us on time, so Mark. No, go ahead, Mark.
You learned from the process. Can you talk about what you have learned? What would you have done differently now?
I mean, I think the one thing that's really clear is that you can't communicate enough, and I think we all know that, but when you're in the midst of it, you still think you're communicating enough, and then you're not. So, I mean, to me, that's where I come out. We haven't, probably do some more kind of deep, we haven't had a lot of meetings where we've really kind of dived into it, but I think that's the key thing for me. Again, it's similar to in our organizations, you have to hit people over the head, 20 different ways, because everybody's going to kind of come at something differently. So I think communicating, throughout the process, really often, all the time, from every kind of angle to explain to people. But again, like I said, once people, got, the vote came out, what I'm so happy about is the conversation. So I'm hoping that that all the members can continue that conversation. So. Like I said, my second to last chapter, it's very nice to have spoken to my home chapter. Again, I appreciate everything that NOCALL does for the association and all the leadership that everybody here shows, because there's so many people in here who are leaders in NOCALL and AALL and the SISs and everywhere else. So thank you very much.
Okay, I'll try and keep this mercifully brief. A couple reminders that if you haven't voted, the election is still open, correct? For a little while longer, so please do that. We are seeking a new webmaster for NOCALL, thanks to Mary Sexton for her hard work on our I encourage you to contact Mary if you want information about how much time commitment it was, the things she thinks, she has some recommendations on making some changes when the new person takes over. So I encourage you to consider that. We are still looking for academic relations chair, and as we're approaching the May meeting and the turnover in leadership, if you are interested in continuing on our committee or would like to volunteer, Michael would love to hear from you. And the May meeting will be in San Francisco at his firm. So thank you for hosting. Because I think, what did we settle on, the 18th?
I think it's the 11th.
The 11th or the 18th? I think it's the 11th, okay.
Yeah.
One of those two. And don't forget to do your homework that Holly assigned. And please, that's right. And please give us feedback on the Institute, the new format, the programming, so that we can take that into account for the next round.
Nice.